Little Johnny keeps begging his dad for a television in his bedroom. At first, Dad keeps saying, "No way, you're too young." But after weeks of nagging, he finally gives in. "All right, fine, just behave yourself." A few nights later, little Johnny comes downstairs looking puzzled. "Dad, what's love juice?" Dad freezes. Mom nearly drops her cup of tea. After an awkward glance at each other, Dad sighs and says, "Well, son, it's a bit complicated, but you're old enough to know." So he explains everything. How babies are made, what happens between a man and a woman, all the gory details. Johnny just sits there, mouth wide open, shocked. After Dad finishes, he asks nervously, "So, Johnny, what exactly have you been watching?" Johnny shrugs and says, "Wimbledon." While standing in line at the bank, a mom struggled to keep her restless toddler under control. After several judgmental stares from strangers, she leaned down and warned, "Behave, or there will be consequences." Her daughter, without skipping a beat, shouted loud enough for the whole bank to hear, "If you don't let me go, I'll tell Grandma I saw you kissing Daddy's pee last night." Dead silence. Even the bank tellers froze. With what little dignity she had left, the mom grabbed her child and marched out, while laughter exploded behind her. Once a mother-in-law explaining the working of her house to her newly married daughter-in-law. She said, "I am the home minister, as well as the finance minister of this house. Your father-in-law is the foreign minister of this house. My son, that is your husband, heads the ministry of demand and supply, and my daughter, that is your husband's sister, runs the planning and development ministry. Now you tell which ministry would you like to run?" The daughter-in-law, with a smile, instantly replied, "Well, dear mother-in-law, I will be running the opposition." The night before his 18th birthday, a teenager invited his girlfriend over since his parents were out. After some bonding time, they heard the house phone ring downstairs. In a hurry and still in their birthday suits, he gave her a piggyback ride down to the phone. Just as they reached the bottom of the stairs, surprise, the lights flipped on, and there stood his entire family. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends, all ready for a surprise party. The couple froze like deer in headlights. Needless to say, surprise parties were permanently canceled after that. The friendly usher at the country church greeted the elderly woman visitor at the door and helped her up the steps. "Where would you like to sit?" he asked politely. "The front row, please," she answered. "You really don't want to do that," the usher said. "The pastor is really boring." "Do you happen to know who I am?" the woman inquired. "No," he said. "I'm the pastor's mother," she replied indignantly. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. "No," she said. "Good," he answered. Jay was applying for a job. "Does the company pay for my hospitalization?" he asked. "No, you pay for it," the personnel director said. "We take it out of your salary each month." "The last place I worked, they paid for it," Jay said. "That's unusual," the personnel man said. "How much vacation did you get?" 6 weeks, Jay replied. "Did you get a bonus?" the personnel man asked. "Yes," Jay said. "Not only that, they gave us an annual bonus, sent us a turkey on Thanksgiving, gave us the use of a company car, and threw a big barbecue for us each year." "Why did you leave?" asked the personnel director. "They went busted," said Jay. An angel appears at a faculty meeting and tells the dean that in return for his unselfish and exemplary behavior, the Lord will reward him with his choice of infinite wealth, wisdom, or beauty. Without hesitating, the dean selects infinite wisdom. "Done," says the angel, and disappears in a cloud of smoke and a bolt of lightning. Now all heads turn toward the dean, who sits surrounded by a faint halo of light. One of his colleagues whispers, "Say something." The dean sighs and says, "I should have taken the money." A 98-year-old Mother Superior from Ireland was dying. The nuns gathered around her bed, trying to make her last journey comfortable. They tried giving her some warm milk to drink, but she refused it. One of the nuns took the glass back to the kitchen, and remembering a bottle of Irish whiskey received as a gift the previous Christmas, she opened it and poured a generous amount into the warm milk. Back at Mother Superior's bed, the nun held the glass to her lips. Mother drank a little, then a little more. Before they knew it, she had drunk the whole glass down to the last drop. "Mother," the nuns asked with earnest, "please give us some wisdom before you die." She raised herself up in bed and whispered, "Don't sell that cow." A man walked into a supermarket with his zipper down. A female checker walked up to him and said, "Your barracks door is open." Not a phrase that men normally use, he went on his way looking a bit puzzled. When he was just about done shopping, a man came up and said, "Your fly is open." He zipped up and finished his shopping. At the checkout, he intentionally got in the line where the girl was that told him about his barracks door. He was planning to have a little fun with her, so when he reached the counter, he said, "When you saw my barracks door open, did you see a soldier standing in there at attention?" The girl thought for a moment and said, No, I didn't. But I saw a disabled veteran sitting on a couple of old duffel bags." An elderly woman went into the store to buy some cat food. She picked up 3 cans, but the cashier stopped her, saying, "I'm sorry, but we can't sell this to you unless you prove you own a cat. Some seniors have been buying cat food for themselves, so we need to make sure it's for your pet." Unfazed, the woman went home, brought her cat back to the store, and was able to purchase the food. The next day, she returned to buy 2 cans of dog food. Again, the cashier requested proof. So the woman went home, fetched her dog, and returned, successfully completing her purchase. On the 3rd day, the woman came back with a small box that had a hole in the lid. She handed it to the cashier and said, "Would you mind sticking your finger inside?" The cashier hesitated, saying, "What if there's a snake in there?" The woman reassured her, "I promise there's nothing in there that could harm you." Reluctantly, the cashier put her finger in the hole, then quickly pulled it out, exclaiming, "That's disgusting!" With a grin, the elderly woman replied, "Glad you agree. Now can I buy 2 rolls of toilet paper, please?" A man walked into the produce section of his local supermarket and asked to buy half a head of cabbage. The boy working in that department told him that they only sold whole heads of cabbage. The man was insistent that the boy ask the manager about the matter. Walking into the back room, the boy said to the manager, "Some old fart outside wants to buy half a head of cabbage." As he finished his sentence, he turned around to find that the man had followed and was standing right behind him. So the boy quickly added, "And this gentleman kindly offered to buy the other half." The manager approved the deal and the man went on his way. Later, the manager said to the boy, "I was impressed with the way you got yourself out of that situation earlier. We like people who can think on their feet here." "Where are you from, son?" "Russia, sir," the boy replied. "Why did you leave Russia?" the manager asked. The boy said, "Sir, there's nothing but prostitutes and ice hockey players in Russia." "Is that right?" fumed the manager. "My wife is from Russia." "Really?" replied the boy. "What team did she play for?"